Well, a very good morning to everybody. Thank you very much for coming. A special welcome to all those special guests we have here today. You're always welcome here. Last Thursday of every month throughout the year we meet, and we're delighted to see each and every one of you then. I want to first of all welcome a special guest as we go into our 20th anniversary of Old Pilots. Pretty amazing feat. We've been doing this for 20 years, every month. One of the gentlemen who started this organization was one of the founders, was Ken Marts. Many of you knew Ken, and we'll talk about Ken a little bit more in a moment, but I want to introduce Monty Marts, Ken's wife. Stand up there, Monty, please. Take a bow. As this traditionally is the biggest meeting of the year, we thought it would be appropriate to say a final farewell to Ken Marts. And I want to let a lot of you guys know who certainly were not here during the year that Ken did pass away last year in May, and we certainly were sorrowful about that, but I wanted to let you know the circumstances of his passing. It was rather ironic that after the May event this year, last year in 2015, after the May Old Ball Pilots meeting, I was driving home and I had a telephone call saying that Ken had passed away. He and Monty had been on a Danube River cruise together, and Ken had contracted a pneumonia. So they put him ashore, and he went to hospital in Vienna and fought valiantly for 5 days before he finally succumbed to his illness. And so it was a valiant fight, as you would probably know if you knew Ken. Ken was a great character. He was born on Valentine's Day in 1923 in Rochester, New York. He joined the Navy as a young man, and he flew F-6F Hellcats off Jeep carriers, specifically the USS Santee CV-29. During the war, he was stationed off Okinawa for 93 days straight. And Ken flew 164 landings and saw action against the prevalence of kamikaze pilots while flying cover for the US Navy. He reached the rank of lieutenant commander. After the war, he came home and he flew constellations for TWA. And after his stint with the airline, he then went on to become a very successful builder and developer, first in Northern California and then later in Los Angeles. Ken moved to Indian Wells with his then wife Carol, who unfortunately went through a long protracted illness and finally died. Ken has many good friends here in the Coachella Valley, and many of those close friends are here tonight with us, and I remember Ken very, very well. He had a great passion for three things in life. One was his family. He had two delightful daughters, Brandy and Wendy. He loved the Palm Springs Air Museum, of which he was a founder, and he also was, of course, a founder of this organization 20 years ago, Old Ball Pilots. I can tell you that he loved all you guys. I remember, and you will remember him well too, because he was, until his 91st birthday, still the host of this esteemed group, and he would go around, as you would remember, with his microphone every month, and he would introduce new members, as Bain did this morning, but he would tell his famous jokes, many of which you guys loved, and the longer it took for him to get around the room, the more risque that his jokes became. And of course, you guys weren't encouraging him at all, I understand that. If you ever met Ken, you'll remember him as the consummate old-world gentleman. He always had a smile, and he cared very much for his friends and his group, as I said. I like to steal a phrase from George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion, when I say that he had the milk of human kindness in his veins. Ken cared deeply about people, and he used charm, especially around women. As if you knew Ken, he was quite the man around about town. He had a great love of life, and he kind of fine figure as he went from one society event to the next. But he eventually met his match in Monty Chisholm here, sitting down here, as you've just met her. And as he started to get serious with Monty, he started to tell her how much he loved her and how much he cared for her, but he said, there's 3 things I'll never do. He says, I'll never get married again. He says, I'm never going to own a pet, and I'm never going to leave my house or sell my house in Indian Wells. But Monty, being the smart gal that she is, she decided to take an extended vacation then to Canada, and probably left town. When she returned, Ken had sold his home. He had moved into her house in Lake La Quinta, and he had a new dog named Mozart that went on his constant companion. So, seems love conquers all, Monty, correct? Anyhow, he finally proposed to Monty, and on November the 2nd in 2009, they were married under the wing of his favorite airplane, the Hellcat, at Palm Springs Air Museum. And from then on, they were an inseparable couple. Ken had a lot of causes. He was active as a volunteer at Martha's Kitchen, feeding the poor and the dispossessed. He was responsible for the implementation of the community garden at Indian Wells. And he and Monty were devoted and generous patrons of the McCallum Theatre. He instructed new volunteers at Palm Springs Air Museum, and he was always an encouraging voice for any new projects that came along. Gary Lewis was one of his good pals, and Gary's going to come up and say a couple of words about what it was like to be a friend of Ken's. Where are you, Gary? Come on up, man. So there he is. Did you remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Ken Marts. Very much missed by this organization and other people, of course. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, Patrick. Everybody knows what kind of guy he was, and he was a very caring person. A couple of years ago, I had an incident, an accident. I wound up in the hospital, and so he left this voicemail on my smartphone, which I'm going to play for you right now.
Ken Marts. This is Saturday afternoon. I just looked at my email and realized that you have had a problem. My gosh, my friends, just because I spend time in the hospital doesn't make it sound like it's fun. I hope all's well, my God. Maybe next week, if it's okay, if you're up to it, I'd love to come by and see you and cheer you up and tell you this is how it takes, what it takes to get back together. I'm at area code 760-702-6111. 702-6111. Take care, and I know Shirley's taking good care of you. Wonderful caregiver. Bye-bye.
That's the kind of guy he was. I think you were very fortunate at piece of his life.
Thank you, Gary. So in a final farewell to Ken, let's all bow our heads now for 1 minute of silence and think about all he contributed to his country and to his community. Okay, thank you very much.